I used to think about the concept of sin for for several years. I struggled with the concept of sin, which is kind of funny to me now. I went from a complete atheist to believing in the Bible, and it took me many years to accept the concept that there is sin. And I really used to think hard about that concept. And one day I was driving in the car and suddenly it hit me that, and I think I nearly stopped the car, and I had to just sit and think about that, and I had this revelation that believing in sin makes much more sense than not believing in sin. And the only reason I struggled for years to accept the concept of sin was because then I could not be accused by anybody. As long as I'm just my own person, there is no judgment, there is no judging of any sort. But that's not true, because even I myself judge myself all the time. My conscience judges me all the time. I constantly think about the things that I've done wrong and the things that I could have done better. So suddenly, after years of thinking about these things, it really hit me that believing in sin makes much more sense than not believing in sin. And you really have to have some life experience. If you are young, it's very easy to not believe in sin if you don't see the consequences of sin firsthand, like in my case, where my life disintegrated so fast because of habitual sin. If you don't see that for yourself, where you basically become a modern day leper, if you don't see that firsthand every day, and you're going through hell and you can't do anything against it, whatever doctors say you should do, it doesn't work. You're constantly running in invisible walls, nothing works out anymore, and suddenly you have this Jesus revelation, and suddenly things are moving again, and things are happening that are positive again, which was completely unheard of for me for many, many years. That anything could get better again was completely unheard of for me, and I had no hope for a long time. And suddenly, when I thought about sin, I really struggled just to accept that there is such a thing as sin. And in the beginning I used to laugh about it, but it kept being in my head, and I thought about it and thought about it, and I must have been thinking about that thing for way over a year, and suddenly it hit me like a ton of bricks that not believing in sin, the only reason why I want to hold on to that concept, is so that nobody can judge me. but that doesn't make any sense because I myself alone judge myself all the time. So the older you become, the more judgmental you will be about yourself, and you will think back, if I hadn't done this, if I had done this a little bit different, then this guy could still be alive, or whatever. And the older you get, the more judgmental you become in judging yourself, in the severity of your sins. At least that's my thinking. So that was a huge revelation for me. And then I think that was the point when I really began to take the Bible seriously. And then it really hit me that everything we think and we are taught in the media, in the school system, is the opposite of the truth. The only thing in school, which is like half an hour a week, which is important, is religion. And there's not much of that anymore in school, I think. So I just had to tell this story. Thanks for listening.